Election interference hysteria is back. Democrats accusing the Trump administration of a brand new cover-up after DNI John Ratcliffe announced a scaling back of in-person election security briefings. Ratcliffe will now give most of them in written form because of leaks from Congress.
I would do everything I could to protect the unauthorized disclosure of classified information, allowing people to leak it for political purposes. But we've had a pandemic of information being leaked out of the intelligence community, and I'm going to take the measures to make sure that that stops.
Of course, Adam Schiff is leading the outrage from Democrats. He's threatening the DNI with subpoenas and claiming that he's never leaked classified information.
I haven't. My staff hasn't. I can't speak for what all the members of the committee have done or not done, including a lot of the Republican members. Look, data leaks are always improper and sometimes they're illegal.
Greg, Schiff saying he's never leaked is like you saying you've never drank.
How dare you?
Sorry. I didn't mean it.
That hurts. That hurts.
I'm
sitting out this segment until you apologize. You know what the thing is, though? We haven't heard from Schiff for months, and I think it's probably because he's been soundly humiliated by the fact that no one brought up impeachment during the Democratic convention. And also, I think he realizes that the impeachment circus played such a role in taking the attention away from COVID, so we couldn't get a jump on COVID. So I'm sure he feels a bit responsible for the death of thousands of people. And if he doesn't, he should. I think they're setting the table for Joe's defeat.
How?
They want to plan. They want a plan in place to contest the outcome because I think they see Biden potentially collapsing in the next month.
So they'll just revive the Russian interference again. Dana, we talked about bringing back the ditch metaphor. We've just brought back Schiff.
Yes.
I felt like I fell off the wagon. We hadn't had Schiff in a long time.
What's with the booze?
I'm sorry. It's been a long weekend.
We were talking this weekend about, we were reliving your dumping in the recycling of all the wine bottles. And apparently you're not alone, Jesse. Apparently it's happening everywhere across the New York and Jersey shoreline. Okay. I feel like the administration or the DNI's office could have handled the communications on this a little bit better because it was just sort of put out there without a lot of explanation. I think that the follow-up explanation was pretty good, but if you're going to do something like this, you need to do it in a way that shows that that you're leading with your front foot rather than having a backpedal, because I don't think that that was handled as well as it could have been. Do you think it's a little bit of a parody to have people who did politicize intelligence complaining about the politicizing of intelligence? But I've always been very curious of why Democrats are not more angry with the Obama administration for not doing more to stop Russian interference, if that was what they were so convinced was happening at the time. And it is the Trump administration's responsibility to make sure that the election goes as well as it can. Obviously the governors have a big role to play, but when it comes to intelligence, I think that in-person briefings make a lot of sense because if you're just reading it on paper, you can't ask follow-up questions. However, if there's a problem with leaking, then there are consequences for that. I just think the administration could have handled the rollout. Happy Monday. Roll out better.
Kennedy, I'm not going to make an alcoholic metaphor. I'm just going to ask you what you think.
I think that Adam Schiff should answer under oath whether or not he has ever leaked any information to the media. Because it's one thing to make an assertion like that and a bald-faced lie to CNN, but if he is giving sworn testimony, I would like to hear what he has to say, because I don't believe a word he's saying when he says that. I also think that only focusing on Russia is a huge distraction. Russia has a tiny economy compared to China. China's economy is much smaller than ours. They have a $13 trillion GDP. We have about 20 trillion. Russia has 1.6 trillion. That means China has a lot more to gain if they gain the world's hegemony and become the single existing superpower, which is their long-term strategy. And they can't do that unless they affect the outcome of the election. A lot of people, the going narrative is that Russia did it in 2016. Why would they be the only player when there's so much to gain? And if we haven't locked things up 4 years later, shame on people like Adam Schiff and Nancy Pelosi and even Mitch McConnell for not doing more to protect the integrity of our elections if they are that vulnerable to foreign interference.
Yeah, send Mark Zuckerberg. Don't let him off the hook.
How dare
Juan,
you, Zuck?
finish it off for us.
Well, I think the Constitution's pretty clear on this, Jesse. That Congress is a co-equal branch of government. I mean, they're in charge of oversight and funding for the intelligence agency. So they get to know what's going on. That's the rule book. That's what the Constitution of our country says. So when you see somebody saying, oh, no, we're not going to give you this information in the way that we're accustomed to, I just think it looks very suspicious. And by the way, I don't think it's any secret around town that the big leaks were not coming from the Democratic side on that committee. But
Really?
I just want to emphasize that if Trump says...
Who were they coming from? The
no,
Republicans?
Let me finish. Well, I don't want to get into that, but I'm just going to tell you there were a lot of leaks, and they were in defense of the idea, as Trump says, that really he was being victimized, and Russia, fake news, Russia interfered. Everybody now knows Russia did interfere in 2016.
Everybody?
And even from the Republican side of the Senate Intelligence Committee, that Russia continues to interfere. So if that's the case, if it's the case that what Trump says, no Russian interference, fake news, then what's there to leak
Is
anyway?
Russia the
Go
only
ahead.
actor interfering? Juan, answer that. Is Russia the only one
Look,
interfering?
I'm just telling you.
No. Don't
but
say Russian
Russia has been
interference.
the
Russian
major
interference, and not
actor.
talk about Iran and China and every other country that wants to screw with our election.
We should talk about Russia because they're the primary
it's
actor
politically
that
convenient for you.
interfered in the 2016 election to benefit Donald Trump.
All right. But all the leaks about Trump colluding, that was from Republicans, right, Juan? Got it.